Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports. Coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. We love you in Africa, the Big C tribes, but there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful May the 14th, 2019, Grando Deportes, the Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, I think the only thing that's free down here is the rain shine that we get all the time.
Yeah.
You know, because everything else they're charging us for it. And I saw today that, they're trying, PROTUS is trying to put a tariff on some air.
Well, I think he's already put a lot of tariffs on gas, if you understand my drift, Big C. It's all fair and love and war. What good would America be if you couldn't tax it? Like that good old boy said, practice. You talk about taxes? I'm talking about taxes, man. We know the rich don't pay their fair share of taxes, Big C. There will be some taxes being paid. Some tax brackets will go up. Tonight's NBA, that little ping pong ball. Why does a ping pong ball determine who's going to get drafted where? I don't know. We have the Splash Brothers back in Northern California. They're playing against some good old boys from Portland. You know what they do in Portland, Big C? They cut down trees. They'll try to cut some trees down tonight. I don't know if they'll get that done. It's all fair and love and war. I do want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. So, Big C, were you joking about taxing the air? Because I heard that's coming in the future, Big C. Your thoughts?
Oh, Charlton, yes, it's going to come. I mean, when you think about people on medical supplies who use oxygen already, that air is taxed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it won't be long before they get to the general public. I mean, everything is getting a tariff on it as we look at it nowadays. I mean, the water that we drink, who would ever thought
that water,
that living in America, you'd have to pay for water? And I'm not talking about the bottled water that we consume. I'm talking about the water that comes through our city systems, Charlton. We pay taxes on that.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is something that it's not produced by man. This is produced by Mother Nature, is that we have to pay taxes on it. And so I understand that the infrastructure of cities, but at some point, you got to stop gouging the American citizen. I mean, because I know some people that I've seen lately, Charlton, that didn't even take a bath, and it bothered me.
Yeah, especially when you're on the plane. Oh, my goodness. Can an airline company deny someone service because they get on a plane and they're not clean in the friendly skies? No pun intended. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, you actually can deny somebody boarding on a plane. You can ask them to be removed from the plane just because of body hygiene. You got to understand, you're locked in this compartment. I just got off a plane and I was on it for 5 hours.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't want to be next to somebody who had not bathed in a while, Charlton, because, I mean, it's not like you can put down a window, when
like
you're
a bus, like a school
35,000
bus.
feet.
Yeah,
It's not the old school bus that we rode at 55 miles an hour. This is a plane doing 550 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to look at the convenience and the comfort of all the passengers that are on the plane. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one, as the great Spock would say.
Yeah, that's funny. I remember when I was 16 years old. I grew up in Northern California. I remember going up to Nevada and going up Interstate 80, if people are familiar with the Lake Tahoe area. Well, at 16, I didn't know what deodorant was. I thought it was something for grown people. But I realized as people were saying, what did you eat? When I realized I needed to start wearing deodorant right about 15. I didn't do it till I was 16, but now I understand. So you're saying they can get you off the plane, and that's good news. But I wanna start today's show on a serious matter, because we always talk about no domestic violence. Also, there's something that I heard as a PSA when I was growing up. It was called no drinking and driving. And it's something that costs the lives of too many Americans every year, because there's some dumb people that get behind the wheel and they say, I only had 2 drinks, I only had 1 drink. And when they get in that situation, they're wishing they had not done it. So I want to bring up this thought. Little tragedy, Tiger Woods restaurant, he and his girlfriend, Erica Herman, they manage a restaurant called The Woods. It's located in all cities, Big C. Jupiter, Florida. Donald Trump and Bob Kraft know where that is. Now, the restaurant and Tiger is being sued for a wrongful death of an employee who drank alcohol before, I guess, driving in a car, and life ended tragically. And there are people that say, well, the restaurant's at fault. Well, if someone's drinking, shouldn't they call an Uber or a cab? Why would that be the fault of the restaurant, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I think that becomes negligence on the behalf of the patron or the employee. You know, it's an unfortunate incident when that happened, but we always hear about drunk driving. That's where MADD, the Institution of Mothers Against Drunk Driving, came from. Too many children have lost their lives. But this was supposed to have been a responsible adult.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if anybody was holding this adult down and making them consume alcohol, Charlton.
No.
But bars all across America, you think about that. That's how they stay in business.
That's true.
That's the lifeline of many cities and local establishments.
Yeah.
Is their bar. That's how they make the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, the government makes money off of alcohol. You talk about taxes and tariffs.
Yeah.
They make money off alcohol. That's something that will not stop being produced.
Especially the Kennedys, yeah.
But you know, when you look at this tragic situation, you wonder how you can hold an establishment culpable when the person say, I'm fine.
Exactly.
You can't force somebody to get into an Uber.
No.
You can't force them not to drive their own car. Now all of a sudden you can get held with kidnapping, battery, if you try to, hold this person back.
Against their will.
There's many levels that you look at. And like I said, the unfortunate part about this, it's somebody lost their life.
Yeah.
The situation is Tiger's world-renowned, very recognized, high profile.
Yeah.
So yes, let's go after Tiger. Let's make him culpable for this incident that occurred. Let's sue him.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want the media. He doesn't want the bad press. But you have to think about, how do they know what caused the accident?
Right.
That's the thing. You can say, yes, his blood alcohol or her blood alcohol was higher than normal. Were they drinking while they were on the job? Or did they wait till after they had gotten off?
Yeah.
Was Tiger there pouring the drink?
No.
These are the things you have to look at. I mean, and it's been too many unfortunate lives lost in America because of drinking and driving.
Right.
I mean, when we look at all the sporting events, so you're going to hold every football team in stadium and basketball team in stadium, hockey team in stadium, baseball team in stadium, responsible for every individual who consumes alcohol at these events.
Yeah, and
these venues are no different than a restaurant.
Yeah.
And there's more alcohol consumed at these venues, Charlton, than what there are in a restaurant. I remember a couple of years ago there was a fan who fell in Dodger Stadium to his death, unfortunately. And he had been consuming a copious amount of alcohol when he fell from the upper deck. And we've seen this on many occasions in sports.
Yeah.
Fans get rowdy. They get in fights in the stands. They get in fights after game. There was a Dodger fan, a Giant fan that was beaten into a coma.
I remember that.
At a Dodgers game.
Yeah.
Because of alcohol. So were the Dodgers responsible for that, or were the men who beat him up responsible for that? At some point in society, I know we live in a sue-happy America.
Right.
Is that you have to hold the individual that's committing the act responsible.
I agree.
When you walk, I mean, every PSA says drink responsibly.
Right.
Know your limits.
Yeah.
Have a designated driver.
Yeah.
But when you disobey those cardinal rules, Charlton, of survival, then you become culpable for your own incident that may occur.
That's a very good point. And I would just ask every parent out there in the universe that has kids that are out drinking and driving, I wonder if you're the person that introduced them to the alcohol. And even if you're not the person that introduced them, there's so many parents and grandparents that will see their kids and grandkids get liquored up. And when you tell them don't do it, they act like you're the problem. Or you just don't want to have fun. And then something tragic happens and they want to sue the establishment. Well, sometimes the establishment comes from the home they were raised in. That teach them to be irresponsible. That, we're just having fun. So I want to ask you, you've owned many restaurants, Big C. And you just brought up a great point. Many stadiums, what do they have that's an advertiser, major sponsor? Alcoholic companies. They're not going to sue every stadium when someone leaves an establishment and they had too much to drink. They go out and cause a fatality or a crash. It could have been distracted driving. Could have been on his cell phone. It could have been anything. But to assume it's because he was intoxicated, I don't think that's fair for any restaurant. And I know you've had to deal with that on your own situation. And just what word would you give to other restaurateurs that have that same culpability if the plaintiff gets their way? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, we have responsible waiters and waitresses and bartenders.
Yeah.
You know, who are administering these adult beverages.
Yeah.
But as we look at every commercial on television now, every commercial break, there's an alcoholic beverage just about on
all
every
the
break.
time. Yeah.
But it also tells a person to drink responsibly.
Yeah.
You know, it's constantly told anybody who's an adult who's responsible has been told to drink responsibly.
Right.
You can't hold, I mean, so if the restaurant is at fault, wouldn't the liquor distributor be more at fault, Charlton?
Eventually, yeah.
For that, they were the ones who provided the beverage to the restaurant.
Yeah.
And so when we look at the distributor there in Jupiter, Florida, not only that, the parent company that gets to the distributor, you know, what brand was he drinking?
Yeah.
You know, did he consume any more after he left the restaurant?
Wow.
You can't say that all that he consumed was at the restaurant. Most people carried a bottle in their car.
Yeah.
I know when I was younger and stupid, I did that.
Yeah.
You know, I kept alcohol in my car, in my trunk.
Yeah.
You know, but it's what ignorant people do, and I was ignorant enough to do that, Charlton.
Yeah.
I broke the law, and I was held responsible for that. If I'd have gotten caught, I was the one that was being held responsible, not the liquor store that would have sold the alcohol to me.
Yeah.
It would have been me. So the responsibility is on me and any individual who chooses to drink. I know as a former athlete, this is one of the things we did all the time.
Yeah.
Consumed adult beverages.
After you
But,
win.
you know, was the team responsible, Charlton? Because every day we came in from practice, we had 2 bottles sitting on our stool in our locker.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the team facilitated this to us. So was the team responsible? And I know after games, and our offensive line would sit there, we'd have troughs full of it, you know, and our offensive line wouldn't leave a bottle wet. You know, they made sure they were all dry.
They were all
You know,
dry.
even after everybody else had left. But I never had an offensive lineman teammate, Charlton, that got into problems from the alcohol.
Yeah.
Somebody was designated. They would call their wives or girlfriends to have them come pick them up.
Yeah.
They
our
were
teammate.
responsible. That's what education will do for you. It would make you responsible. So these gentlemen that I worked with, they were responsible because they knew that their livelihood
Depends
was
on it.
based on them being able to get to and from work and home. So they didn't take the chance, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I can speak from experience. If you want to take your life in your hand, and I want to give, you know, respect and appreciation to MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Yeah.
Because for years they've advocated against this. Because too many children have been lost at the hands of drunk drivers. A minor child losing their lives to an adult who's over 21 that can consume alcohol legally does not care about a minor when they're driving. So
I agree.
this individual who lost their lives, Charlton, is an unfortunate thing, but they had to take some responsibility for their own alcohol consumption.
And 2 more questions about this. And again, no one wishes that on anybody. But for parents' reaction is, well, we're going to sue that restaurant. I know lawyers can look into the background of those parents and see have they ever provided alcohol to that child. If they knew that child had a drinking problem, then they're culpable because they didn't seek help for that child. That's just one issue. Also, is Tiger Woods foolish for making a statement? Robert Kraft didn't make any statements about anything, and they're acting like his case never even happened. I know he's rich. I know he wants to do the right thing, but you know we are in a litigious society. There are people who will smile on your face and hand you the paper to sue you in the same hand. Big, see your thoughts.
Well, you know, the reason why Tiger had made that statement, this is my belief, is because Tiger was caught several months ago intoxicated on prescription medication.
Yeah.
And he was pulled over, not even knowing his whereabouts.
Yeah.
He created a hazard to mainstream society when he was out on the roadway driving. Unfortunately enough, some officers were able to pull him over before he could put harm to himself or to someone else, Charlton.
Yeah.
So Tiger understands the peril of driving intoxicated. And the question to me, was Tiger there serving the alcohol?
No, he wasn't
That's
there.
the question. So Tiger wasn't there serving the alcohol. His girlfriend wasn't there serving the alcohol. So if you own an establishment, why are you being held accountable? You know, with all the Corona commercials that we see on television,
Yes.
I don't see them being held accountable.
No.
So Needles Tequila, I don't see them being held accountable.
No.
Johnny Walker Black has one of the greatest commercials on television right now.
Yeah.
I don't see them being held accountable. Crown Royal Vanilla, I don't see them being held accountable. So why are you going after a restaurant owner and not the liquor company, John?
Money. Yeah, it's money, and it's a shame, but it's a message for everybody. if you're gonna drink, just don't drive. Period. The parents, everybody can tell their kids that. Just so when you think about Tiger, obviously, just got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. When you talk about odds to win the 2019 PGA Championship, obviously Tiger Woods is at the top of the list at 8-1 odds. Then you have Brooks Koepka, followed by Dustin Johnson, and then McIlroy, Ricky Fowler's up there, John Rahm, Justin Rose, there's several others. Molinari's very solid, I think, until he's being chased by a Tiger, Big C. He's at 25-1. An athlete has to stay laser focused, tunnel vision. Could this get Tiger off of his game? It seemed like he just got back on the mountaintop, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he came out and made a statement to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So not to have it nipping at the heels of him as he's going around and people saying, why haven't you answered this? Why haven't you dealt with this?
Right.
I made a statement. That's what Tiger said. I made a statement about my condolences and my lack of involvement in this incident.
Yeah.
So he's out in front of it. And you, just because you make a statement doesn't mean that you're guilty. He didn't commit a crime. He wasn't in the situation that Robert Kraft was in.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Robert Kraft didn't make a statement because Robert Kraft knew he had the ability to make this go away.
Yeah.
That's what he did. So as long as he didn't make a statement to anything, then he's not admitting to anything. Now that the judge has helped him out, said we're going to seal all the evidence.
Yeah.
So, you haven't committed a crime. It's a matter of how the NFL deals with this, Charlton.
Yeah. That's
the true stance. Does the NFL deal with Robert Kraft differently? Society has had its days with Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
This is a situation because Tiger Woods had just came off the Masters. If he had not won the Masters and the FedEx Cup, would this family had been going after Tiger Woods? Because Tiger Woods would just be another golfer right now. But now that he's back on top of the world, let's get some notoriety. Let's get some sympathy. I understand you lost somebody, but let's get some sympathy from the public. And what they'll use is say, well, you saw Tiger intoxicated on the news.
Yeah.
So if he was intoxicated on the news, then maybe he condone that with his employees also.
That's very true. Whether you're going to be drinking and driving or driving a car or buying a firearm, get some training. Only a knucklehead would say, why do I need training? Because you're stupid. That's why you need training. I just don't have a lot of sympathy for people that want to blame others for their own actions. We all have our own problems in life. I want to just touch on something that happened also in the world of tennis in the universe. One of the best tennis players in the universe, the great Serena Williams. She withdrew from the Italian Open due to an injury, and she was scheduled to face her sister in the second round. Now, I know she's had a child, and of course anyone can have an injury at any time, and some of the greatest athletes in the world, they've come off of injuries. Look at the great Kevin Durant. But I think the world misses out as she comes to the backside of her greatness, Big C, to not be able to see her participate in more tournaments, and then also playing against her sister, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you get north of 30 as a professional athlete, the body starts to talk to you a little more.
Yeah.
And not always saying the things that you want to hear. And so, Serena's had health problems for a long time, even before she became a mother.
Yeah.
But, they became even more prevalent afterwards. And you're not in the same condition. The body is just not.
Yeah.
We see athletes, you just spoke about Kevin Durant, on a simple jump shot.
Yeah.
Strains his calf. We saw Boogie Cousins going after a loose basketball, pulls his quad.
Yeah.
Athletes, when you get over 30 years of age, your body is not the same as it was when you were 20 and 21.
Yeah.
That wear and tear, especially when you're in a fast-paced friction sport, like in tennis and in basketball.
Yeah.
You're stopping and going all the time. You're constantly putting strains on the tendons and ligaments and muscles.
Yeah.
And so I can understand that the body's breaking down with her.
Yeah.
Your mind is always functioning as an athlete. I mean, we look at Tiger Woods. He's altered his game as a golfer.
Yeah.
He's not the golfer he was 15 years ago. Tiger Woods no longer drives the ball 330 yards, 340 yards down the fairway.
Right.
He wants to get 270, 280 out of a drive, Charlton. That's all Tiger Woods is going to get today.
Yeah.
He's lost 60 yards off his drive, but he's learned how to play under more control. He's not taking the chances that he was. Once his body started to break down, he made adjustments to accommodate his body, not his body accommodating him.
Yeah, and that's part of every athlete. They're just time and muscle. Sometimes too much muscle causes a lot of strain and too also on the body. I want to just get your thoughts on something. I know people are all jazzed about the NBA, lottery and this draft lottery that we're having tonight, and you've made so many salient points about it. there are a lot of veterans that have to lose a job for some guy coming out of college to get a job. So there's not necessarily great news for guys all over the draft board. It's not going to happen for everybody. But we'll get on that a little bit later in the show. I do want to say that today is the 1-year anniversary of the Supreme Court ruling that allowed states to legalize one of your favorite things in the world, you and Charles Barkley, to legalize sports gambling. A $525 million paid out by DraftKings to customers for 17 million bets on the mobile platform in New Jersey alone last year. That mobile platform is a thing that people have in their hand, and that is a game changer for the good old boys who bet. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, just the numbers is startling. $535 million off of 17 million bets.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good return for the bettors,
yeah.
When you look at it.
Yep.
So somebody's losing some money somewhere. But, you've opened up this huge Pandora's box when it comes to gambling.
Yep.
Is that too many people that are playing the games can be touched.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to make money. What do we hear from athletes all the time? Well, I'm holding out for a new contract.
Right.
I'm not reporting until my contract is renegotiated.
Right.
I'm coming up on my option year. I'm going to play it out and test the free agent market. We hear all these proponents over the NBA talking about these players going to get paid max contracts.
Yeah.
You don't need max contracts anymore as a player.
No, you don't.
You can bet your way and make as much money.
Right
and
now.
that money's guaranteed because you control the outcome of games.
Yeah.
So as people sit around and say, well, these players are going to this team, these players are going to that team. No, the Supreme Court made an even playing field for every city.
Yeah.
I can go and play where I want to play and be comfortable. Plus, if I'm a champion, why do I want to go to the worst team in the league?
Yeah.
I don't understand the mentality of all the sports broadcasters and writers out there saying, okay, this guy is going from a championship team to the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
That makes a whole lot of sense. Team ain't made the playoffs since he was 3 years old, but he wants to be there.
Yeah.
So, with the Supreme Court helping out every American who loves to gamble,
yeah.
Why do you need to go elsewhere?
Yeah, I think it's all fair in love and war, and I don't know anyone that trades in a Bentley for an old Honda. Just because, why would they? They want to get something better than what they already have. And if you talk about organizations, if you've ever seen San Francisco, and I know you've seen it, but many people that travel in the United States, San Francisco is a choice destination. And I know it costs a lot of money to live there, but if poor people can afford it, mega-rich athletes can also. And when you look at everything they're getting, the city has everything you need. And New York City has it too, but New York City doesn't win.
You can't drive in New York, so that's the difference.
You may not.
You can drive in San Francisco, but you can't drive in New York. No, half the people in New York, I would say 2/3 of the people in New York do not even own a car.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So you can't afford to park it and you can't afford to drive it.
Yeah.
So when you think about the flexibility that you have in California, I was just in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So to be able to drive across the Bay Bridge or the San Mateo Bridge,
yeah,
and get out of there and go on to the mainland, you got all of California to explore.
Yeah.
I mean, if you drive 5 hours out of San Francisco, you're up in the woods, in the redwoods.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can get anywhere. You can't drive out of New York. So for somebody to want to say, hey, I want to be in New York because it's the Mecca of basketball. I saw the movie Uncle Drew, okay?
Yeah.
That used to be the Mecca of basketball, Rutgers Park.
Right.
It is no longer the Mecca of basketball, Rutgers Park in New York.
No.
So if Rutgers Park is no longer the Mecca of basketball, Madison Square Garden is no longer the Mecca of basketball.
Nah, and all the people who work in media, when you go through this elevator, it smells really bad. You would think they could get some type of spray to clean up their smell, but that stench is pretty bad.
Well, they were riding in the car with you when you were 16 years old.
16, a lot of teenage boys going into Madison Square Garden. And speaking of New York, on this date, 1967, it was legendary outfielder Mickey Mantle. He hit his 500th Major League home run against the Baltimore Orioles in a 6-5 Yankee win. The Yankees win. And you think about it, Mantle finished his career with 536 home runs, 18th all-time. He hit 77 home runs. That good old boy, obviously Hall of Famer. And he hit, against the Athletics, 42 home runs against the Tigers. They're looking for the basketball version of Mickey Mantle. They're not going to find it. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you think about that was America's pastime.
Yeah.
The NBA was irrelevant when Mickey Mantle played baseball. He was an iconic figure in America. Every kid growing up knew who Mickey Mantle was in the 60s. He and Roger Maris personified what baseball was in New York. I
Yeah.
mean, there was an era of great baseball players: Frank Robertson, Willie Mays, Ernie Banks, Henry Aaron, and the list goes on and on. But, you know, to be in the crescendo at that time, which was the mecca of sports, New York.
Yeah.
And to be able to do it on the grandiose stage, you talked about he hit 77 home runs against the Athletics, the most he hit against any team in his career. So when the A's came around, he was looking to take it out of the park. And not only that, when you talk about the Tigers, he hit 42 home runs in their ballpark.
Yeah.
So he loved going to Detroit. I don't know. I guess the soul food and the music was good to him up there.
Yeah, he got that Motown cooking going for him up in Detroit. So baseball's great. I think they're still trying to find the basketball version of it in New York City. They're not going to find Willis Reed coming out of the locker room anytime soon. But it's all fair and love and war. I do want to just say tonight's baseball's kind of taking a back seating. It's a long season for baseball. But tonight, I love the logos on these two teams. Chicago Cubs at the Cincinnati Reds. Imagine the great teams from Cincinnati back in the day. How great that was watching them go to boys, the big red machine. And New York Mets, METS, Mets at the Washington Nationals. Milwaukee at Philadelphia. Colorado's at Boston. You have Houston at Detroit, just talking about Detroit. Hopefully they'll wear some deodorant. Them good boys from Texas tend to sweat a lot. Tampa Bay at Miami. That's a short plane fight, Tampa Bay at Miami, Big C. But they both play in dome stadiums in the most beautiful state, or one of the most beautiful states in the United States. Why have a dome, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I guess you don't want to compete with the sunshine. so you put a dome up to block it out. You tell everybody to leave the beach in Miami and Tampa and come on inside.
Yeah, come on inside. They have open stadiums in Chicago where it gets to be minus 20 with the wind chill. And when it's beautiful and sunny in Florida, they have dome stadiums. It doesn't make any sense. You have St. Louis at Atlanta, the LA Angels at Minnesota, Texas at Kansas City. You have Pittsburgh at Arizona, Toronto at San Francisco, two world-class cities, and you have San Diego at the Dodgers, Oakland at Seattle, and a matchup game, and I love that anytime you're playing down in LA, matchup game, Cleveland, Chicago, White Sox, Baltimore, and New York Yankees. Give me your feeling, state of baseball. I know everybody's looking forward to the draft, Big C, and we're always acting like baseball has a lot of empty seats, and that's true, but your feeling right now about baseball, does it make you excited, or are you just waiting for the summer, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you know, Charlton, baseball is always moving. The thing about baseball, and this is universal.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to win 50 games. Everybody's going to lose 50 games in baseball. It's what you do with those other 62 games which are relevant. So, you know, you can get off to a slow start in baseball and find some momentum.
Yeah.
Baseball is really not relevant until Labor Day. You want to know where your team is Labor Day. Are they in the hunt for the playoffs?
Yeah.
Because the summer is long and there's so many distractions that go on.
Yeah.
But you always go by that mantra in baseball. Everybody's going to win 50 games.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to lose 50 games. It's what you do with the other 62 games.
With the other 52 games. So it's all fair and love and war. Love baseball. We know we'll cover it more in the summertime. In the NHL, gosh, this is a great time of year. But I feel like some people are getting left out because we have NBA Finals, NHL Finals right at the same time. Just got done with the Super Bowl. So the NFL doesn't compete with anybody. But the NHL and also the NBA, it makes it tough on both sports to grab the nation's attention. But you have the Boston Bruins and the Hurricanes. The Bruins are up 2-0 in that series. They face off in Game 3. And you look at Carolina and the Hurricanes. Tell me your feelings. Boston obviously seems to be the best team out there, even though the Sharks are looking like they're getting a lot of favor on the West Coast. Give me your feeling about who might be that have the advantage, like the Golden State Warriors of the NHL. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, right now Boston is hot, and I tell you, I love hockey. Hockey to me is exciting. I mean, and if you look at Chora on Boston, you know this is the guy that can play in the NBA. He's 6'9".
Yeah,
and he's running around with knives strapped to his feet on ice.
Yeah,
look like he's ready to cut out an ice cube to have a drink.
And no deodorant.
Yep. but you know, when you think about hockey players.
Yeah.
And I know everybody doesn't understand the game, but you really have to go to the game live to really understand and appreciate the athleticism and the artistry of the game.
Yeah.
To have these grown men moving at the pace that they do. And you think about the choreography in hockey.
Yeah.
You know, to have a player change in the NBA, you have to call a timeout.
Yeah.
The play has to stop. Hockey players do it right in the middle of a play. They have shift changes.
Yep.
Where they bring 2, 3, 4 guys onto the ice at one time, John.
One time.
To change.
Yeah.
I mean, the graceful and the coordination of hockey players is something that's really not appreciated unless you're in one of those markets, Charlton, to understand it. I understand that basketball, in a lot of places takes the front seat. But basketball is new compared to hockey. Hockey's been around like baseball. And so those people who have grown up knowing and loving hockey, you can't find a better sport. To them, the NBA is trying to compete with them because when you look at a hockey arena, Charlton, you don't see sold-out games. At a hockey game, throughout the playoffs that they've had for the Stanley Cup, you haven't seen people sitting on their hands, Charlton. You've heard nothing but ruckus arenas going on. These people are lively in these hockey arenas. I mean, you got fights going on. You got hard checking, Charlton. You got scoring. I mean, when you talk about going to a sporting event, a hockey game is like a Swiss Army knife. You don't know what's going to happen.
Well, sometimes that could be a bad thing, but it's all fair and love and war. Final thing in hockey, and then we'll get into the other half of the program. In the Western Conference Finals, St. Louis Blues, they tie up the series. 1 game apiece. San Jose Sharks. Now, they were knocked out. It was like a fight the first time. They were knocked out by the Sharks, but they got a 4-2 victory over San Jose, giving them a little bit of hope. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it was a tremendous game last night. When you think about it, the Blues got off to a hot start, 2-0.
Yeah.
But the Sharks came back and scored 2 goals in a matter of 2 minutes and got right back in and even up the game. But St. Louis was able to pull together. Charlton scored 2 more goals to come out with this 4-2 victory in the Shark taking San Jose. So now St. Louis has the home ice advantage when they move back to St. Louis, and we will see a different series once they get back there. I think they may have figured out San Jose, Charlton, and now they're on smooth ice from here on in.
Yeah, they might be on smooth ice from here on then. And what we're going to do is we're going to step away for a moment and what we call the Big C pause. We know there's a lot of sports to get to, and we will do that right after the break. All right, Big C, we are back on Big C Sports. And I'm telling you, I love what we do with Big C Sports. You can find us on the iHeartRadio network, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, also Xfinity Comcast. We thank you for your support as we grow Big C Sports all over the universe. If you think about tonight, everybody's hyped about the NBA draft, but it's not the only thing in town. If you think about New York, we were talking about New York, the New York Giants general manager, Jay Gettleman, I think he's your friend. He said the number 6 overall and Giants first round pick, Daniel Jones, he could sit up to 3 years behind Eli Manning. Now, we know Eli Manning's been rumored to be, sat on the shelf, traded, retired, etc. And they passed on some good quarterbacks, especially Haskins out of Ohio State. Why is he saying now you want him to sit 3 years? Is that to favor Manning, or is that just because they realized they made a bad call? Your thoughts?
I think Gettleman realizes that he missed the boat on this draft pick.
Yeah.
And if he's made that statement, you got to realize Daniel Jones has already been in rookie camp.
Yeah.
And so he has seen how he's performed outside the college game, that maybe the tape, was actually accurate. That, his downfield accuracy has been questionable, Charlton.
Yeah.
And he throws a lot of underneath routes. You already have that with Eli Manning.
Yeah.
And all the preponderance out there will say, well, it's great for him that he can sit behind Eli Manning and learn for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
You don't draft a quarterback number 1 overall to sit back and learn.
Yeah.
You got to understand the last quarterback, Charlton, that was taken this high in the draft and did not play as a rookie, that was Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
He's the last quarterback because Drew Brees was the quarterback in San Diego. They had to trade Drew Brees the following year so that Phillip Rivers could get into the lineup. But every rookie quarterback, Charlton, in the modern draft era has played in his rookie year, has been drafted in the first round. And so for Dave Gettleman to make that statement about the New York Giants and their quarterback situation, I think he's feeling what everybody else has said. You made a mistake.
Yeah, and sometimes you just got to admit it. And nothing knocking the guy at Duke, but we've seen he wasn't even a household name until they picked him, Big C. It's all fair and love and war. Now, when this guy speaks, I have a lot of respect for him because he was boxing groceries at a grocery store and went on to become a Hall of Famer in the NFL. Former NFL quarterback Kurt Warner. He calls out Denver's new quarterback Joe Flacco for saying that he's not in the Denver demeanor the second-round draft pick, Drew Lock. He's not buying it, and I want to get your feeling. Now, that good old boy, Donovan McNabb, former Philadelphia Eagle great, Super Bowl player, he did the same thing, similar choice words against Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia media. In fact, the national media ate him up and saying, oh, he's just jealous, he's just a hater. Is Kurt Warner getting the same type of drawback, Mixie? Your thoughts?
No, Charlton, Kurt Warner won't get the same drawback that Donovan McNabb received. But I understand what Joe Flacco has said, is that I'm not here to mentor Drew Lock.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not. I was traded for by John Elway to come in and win for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
I was brought in to help this outstanding defense that the Denver Broncos have. My job was to go out there and produce points offensively.
Yeah.
If the young quarterback is going to learn, he learns by being around me.
Yeah.
That's mentorship. He learns by watching the way that I prepare. That's mentorship. You know, in today's era, everybody is trying to take somebody's job. We talk about that all the time.
All the time.
What just happened to Joe Flacco in Baltimore? They bring in a quarterback last year in the first round to take his job. And they say, okay, we want you to mentor the guy. And you just lose your job.
Right.
You got to take your kids out of school. You got to move across the country.
Yeah.
You know, and you're going to say, okay, we're going to draft another quarterback, and you want me to mentor him too? Do I look stupid? That's what Joe Flacco is saying.
Yeah.
You draft this guy thinking that he's a grown man, that he has the work ethic that you bragged about to make him a great NFL quarterback. Your buddy Hyper McShay said he was one of the smartest guys out there.
Well, there's one of
so
the guys
if he
out there.
spent 4 years as a starter at Missouri, and he comes into the NFL ill-prepared, and Joe Flacco said, I lost my job to a guy that they said couldn't throw and should play defensive back.
Right.
And now you're going to tell me that I need to mentor the guy that they say had the biggest arm coming out of college?
Right.
Now you want me to mentor him?
Yeah.
I'm not ready to move again. You know, Joe Flacco is thinking that he wants this guy to be like Paxton Lynch. That's what Joe Flacco is thinking.
Well, I love how people are competitive, and it's always nice when people don't always agree. People say, well, can't we all just get along? Life is better when you don't agree all the time. What man out there in the universe would train your girlfriend or your spouse that's about to leave you for another man? Who would train that new man to say, this is what she likes, this is how she likes you to behave around her, she likes you to rub her feet, give her back rubs, she only likes to eat at this restaurant? Maybe that's why she's leaving. Bixie, your thoughts?
Well, you know, when you look at the quarterback position versus all the other positions in the NFL, as a lineman, I mean, we carry 8 defensive linemen into a game. Offense is the same way, 8 to 9 offensive linemen. In the modern day NFL, they dress how many quarterbacks? 2. When I played, it was 3. Now it's down to 2. So you want to coach the guy up behind you. So when you're having a bad day, he comes in and lights the place up. And all of a sudden, you're on the bench holding the clipboard for him the following week. This is what Joe Flacco is saying. And Kurt Warner got to understand, when he came into the NFL, he didn't get mentored when he was in Green Bay. You know, Brett Favre didn't mentor him. He got cut. He had to go bag groceries. And when he was in Los Angeles, Trent Green wasn't mentoring him. Trent Green got hurt. Okay? That's what happened. And Kurt Warner, of all people, should know, if I go in someplace and mentoring somebody, a la New York Giants, and they draft Eli Manning, I'm out of town.
He's out of town.
And that's what happened to him.
So
he ends up elsewhere, Jonathan. He ends up in Arizona. So when you talk about mentoring a quarterback, you can say that when you've been successful and you won a Super Bowl. But and Joe Flacco's done that. But when you're on the last leg of your career, Kurt Warner wasn't mentoring anybody in Arizona.
No.
They didn't even bring in anybody to challenge him, Joe.
Well, I have a message for Kurt Warner, who's in the media. Those jobs change a lot. They change hands like people change socks, Big C. So is Kurt Warner, when the NFL Network approaches him and says, hey, we're going to go in a different direction, we want you to train this new guy that's going to take your job. What will his review be on that, Big C, your thoughts?
Kurt said, well, you know, when you're going to fire me, you fire me, but I'm not training you. That's your job.
That's funny. When they want you to train somebody to take your job, doesn't make any sense. But it's all fair in love and war. And I want to just get you, I know we're going to talk a lot about the NBA draft, but I still think what you said the other day is very salient. And you got to give somebody an unemployment slip before you even get a job, even though everyone's all over Zion Williamson. And we want to get on that in the last part of the show. I just want to finish up with a few more things, because there's a thing called sibling rivalries. And it's just like broadcasters have it. You know, when you got into the media, Big C, you were taking someone's job. When it was time for you to go on and try other things, they had somebody else, like musical chairs. It's never personal, it's just business. But if you look at the brother situation, the brotherhood in broadcast, but do you find, even in the thing that's happening tonight, Golden State, with Steph Curry and Seth Curry, is in a family, are there sibling rivalries? Are there things that happen where that's not easy to talk about? Is there anything where a parent has favoritism among their children? I think about the Jackson 5. You look at Michael Jackson, they had Jermaine, Tito, Marlon, and Jackie. I'm sure that Michael Jackson was the cash cow. You think about brothers that coach NFL football. There's Jim Harbaugh, and then his brother, John Harbaugh. They both coached in the Super Bowl. I'm sure it tore their parents apart, but they were happy. You look at broadcast, Mark and Stan Van Gundy, 2 NBA coaches, and then broadcasters. Do parents have a favoritism? That make any sense? Your thoughts?
Oh, hell yeah, Charlton. We all do. I mean, I would tell you,
yeah.
my first child, that was my favorite child.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
My last child was my favorite child.
Yeah.
But the middle one and my daughter,
yeah,
that's the one I love the most. I ain't gonna lie. I told them.
Yeah.
Her brothers would tell you love her more. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. That's my baby.
Yeah.
Because I'm here to protect her, to teach her how she should be treated by a man the rest of her life.
Yeah.
And you should watch what I'm doing to her, so you know how to treat the woman in your life.
Yeah.
And that's the mantra that I live by.
Yeah.
But yes, I have a favorite child, just like every parent. Parents can't sit there and say, no, I love them all the same. And it's just like my mother would say that, no, I love all my kids. Yeah, but I tell everybody, I'm the favorite. Period. I'm the favorite.
Yeah.
So, as much as she wanted to say that she loved the rest of them, which I know she didn't love as much as me, but, it's just honest. And if a parent wants to sit out there and say, I love all my children equally, you do love them all equally.
Right.
But you do have a favorite in that love, and it's just how it is.
Well,
so when you look at this Curry situation in Portland tonight, Charlton,
yeah,
the parents love both of them.
Yeah.
But they got a daughter also that's not in the equation.
Yeah.
So you think that they love the daughter less than they love the sons? No. The sons just happen to be in the spotlight.
Yeah.
You got to understand, they gave their daughter more attention than what they gave their sons, because that's the one they needed to protect.
Yeah.
The boys were there for each other.
Yeah.
But they needed to nurture and protect their daughter. So your daughter's always going to be your favorite on how you treat them, and every dad will tell you that. When you look at saying, do you favor one child? No, you don't favor one. You just love one more than the rest.
Well, same thing, Big C. It's like
no, it's not. It's not the same thing. I mean, it's like saying, 4 quarters is $1 and $1 is $1. It's 4 quarters.
It's
okay?
4 quarters. Okay. Especially when you're trying to get on a plane, Big C. I understand it makes more noise. So if you look at what I love about that Curry family is they have a great last name, number one. Number two, when I look at the father Dell, and I see some of these videos out there where he had both of his kids around him at work. You know how they have parents take your kids to work day and how they seem so well grounded. But there's something about Curry that maybe people don't know about him also. And I don't know, I'm just going to assume. To be in the limelight all of your life, a lot like Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonds, you also have, been many, the fielders in baseball. We've had that, Ken Griffey and Griffey Jr., they've had that.
Look at the Matthews in football. Look at the Mannings in football, Charlton. There's been many eras of dads and sons that have played professional sports.
Yeah.
In all of it. Hockey. You look at the Orr family. So, when you think about that, the fathers who've been fortunate enough to have children when they were young enough to take them and have them participate in that sport that they played for a living.
Yeah.
You think about the advantage mentally that the child got, not athletically, but mentally, to have an understanding of the environment that they're in. Not to take it for granted, but to learn the work ethic early. Not to see it on television, like most kids nowadays. They see it on television. If you go to a game now, you see all the kids in a game wearing what they see a professional athlete wears on television.
Let me ask you a question.
But they don't understand what it took for that professional athlete to get to that stance on television. to be able to wear that product.
It takes a lot of hard work, but I want to get your thoughts on something, and I don't know if it's true or just my opinion. What makes Steph Curry such a media darling? He's smart. He's a good-looking guy. Comes from a good family. But what I'm saying might sound stupid to a lot of people. He's one of the rare athletes in the league that doesn't have tattoos all over his body that looks like a puzzle. And I know people say, well, that's the cool thing. But when you're 65, 75 years old, it's not going to look cool anymore. He still has that corporate image that you can sell. Remember back in the day, this guy named Birdman over at Denver. Also Dennis Rodman when he was playing for the Bulls and also Detroit. Curry, one of the few guys that still has that clean look. And I know people say it doesn't matter. They'll say that in public, but in private they do. Like, he's a clean-looking guy, Big C, and he also has a strong Christian faith. Who doesn't, though? But does that make any sense? Fewer tattoos, more endorsements. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't think that when they're doing the endorsements that they're shooting the guy's body. I haven't seen Steph Curry in a shirtless commercial yet. I know he has a couple of little tattoos on his arm and his wrist and underneath his underarm, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, you're looking at a person's face and image. The thing about Steph Curry, my impression of his marketability is his complexion and his eye color.
Yeah.
To me, that's the number one marketability of him above all the other black players in the NBA.
Yeah.
It is the skin tone. Just like with Tiger Woods, light-complected African-American man.
Yeah.
Steph Curry, light-complected African-American man. Because when you look out there around the commercials, and yes, other black players do have commercial endorsements on television.
LeBron James.
But as far as the media looking at him, he's never had an edge about him.
Yeah.
He's always been, in the sports genre, timid.
Yeah.
And so that's what they look at, that he's non-intimidating to them when he gives an interview.
Yeah.
He doesn't lash out at the guys. I mean, Draymond Green and him are polar opposite.
Yeah.
But they're equally as valuable to the Warriors organization.
What about LeBron James when you look at him? Because someone's got to be the new Magic Johnson, who was the face of the NBA until MJ, Michael Jordan came along. Before that, you're looking at Dr. J, and going before that, maybe Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but Kareem's lasted a long time. How would you compare? Because someone has to carry the mantle for the NBA. If we went outside the Earth solar system and went to another universe, who would be the guy that represented the NBA? I think it's Steph Curry, even though it could be LeBron James. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Charlton, right now it's an open playing field. Giannis could be the voice, the face of the NBA.
Yeah.
It's about marketability. His English is not the best, so that they're working on that right now.
Yeah.
Steph Curry is just quiet. He really doesn't want to be the face of the NBA.
Yeah.
LeBron has carried that mantra for a long time. But you got to think about the era of players that you're in right now. Russell Westbrook could easily be the face of the NBA.
Yeah.
But he hasn't won. And it comes down to winning to be the face of the NBA. Right now, Steph Curry is the most notable one. Kevin Durant has an edge to him. I was going to tell you, you know who the hell I am. I'm KD.
What about
They don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
And the media is not in love with LeBron now because LeBron is intimidating.
Yeah.
LeBron is worried about LeBron. LeBron has all athletically what he ever chose to accomplish in his game. Yes, he'd love to win another championship.
Yeah.
But he knows his career that he has chosen outside of basketball, he wants it to last longer than his NBA career did, Charlton.
Yeah, well, C.J. McCollum for Portland Trailblazers in the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2000. McCollum being the only player ever drafted in the first round out of Lehigh University, going 10th overall in 2013 draft. He and Damian Lillard, I don't think they have much of a chance tonight. I think Golden State was pushed hard. Everybody has a shooter's chance, we know that. But Lillard's coming back home to Oakland, where he grew up. He's going to have some of that family and friend interference. Hey, give me a ticket. Maybe he can block that out. But I feel that Golden State, Steve Kerr doesn't lose first-round games. Just doesn't do that. It would be tough for Portland to win tonight. That's why Las Vegas has it 7 points. But with prop betting, it scares me. I'm sure if they lost, Vegas would love it, but they could come back and win anyway. I still look at a 5, at the most a 6-game series, but they knocked out Houston in 6. I think they'll probably get Portland in maybe 5. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I always love that thing when you're coming back and saying families bugging you for tickets. Everybody who plays professional sports, and for those people who never played, athletes only get 2 tickets, period. I don't care where you're playing at, whether it's home or on the road. You get 2 tickets. They're not going to give you 14 tickets because you got 14 people want to come to the game.
Right.
You'd have to pay for that out of your pocket. And so you tell family members, you want a ticket? you buy a ticket
Yeah.
because I would have to buy that ticket for you also.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
I haven't seen you in 5 years. You want me to buy you a ticket,
Yeah.
all right? And you only want to see me when I can buy you something. But when
yeah.
I look at Damian Lillard and C.J. McCullough, Jonathan, you think about the auspicious start that these two great basketball players have.
Yeah.
Lehigh University, Weber State University, not even on the basketball radar, Jonathan.
No.
These teams don't play in the March Madness tournament,
No,
okay?
no.
They might make the NIT.
Yeah.
You don't see them in the round of 64.
Yeah.
But you think about where they came from and where they are. As we're talking about the draft tonight, and people talking about building through the draft.
Yeah.
You don't want to always have the guys that are playing on television because those guys are kind of jaded to a degree.
Yeah.
When you take guys like Lillard and you take guys like McCullough, who had a chip on their shoulder because everybody overlooked them in the recruiting process out of high school.
Yeah.
When they were in college, people thinking about them as second-tier players. But both of these guys were first-round draft picks, and nobody ever saw them play in college on television. Joe.
No one ever saw him play, and that's a very good point, Big C. And I know it's all fair and love and war, but tonight's is something that you told me about, and I know we all know what we know. And sometimes it takes someone to say something to you to kind of trigger that nerve. For the guys who are eligible for the draft, in order to get a job, you got to put a guy who's already playing in the league in the unemployment line, and that's a tough thing for guys who declared early. It's been 11 years since the first overall pick in the NBA draft was also the league MVP. That's none other than the great Derrick Rose for the Chicago Bulls in 2008, and we know he's made a lot of money, but he's also had a lot of injuries. There are a lot of guys who don't make a lot of money and also have a lot of injuries. Give me your thoughts on the great Derrick Rose.
Well, Charlton, I mean, when he came onto the scene after his freshman year at Memphis, he was the next great thing in Chicago after Jordan.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, injuries caught up with him, Charlton, and we sing all these praises about these number one picks.
Yeah.
But not many people realize that these number one picks don't always pan out.
No.
You got to realize only 17 number one overall picks in the NBA have won NBA titles.
Yeah.
So think about that. You're not guaranteed to have a franchise changer just because you have the number one overall pick. And if you go back and look at some of the number one overall picks, Charlton,
Yeah.
just in the last 15 years, okay, you had a lot of busts just in the last 15 years. So
Yeah.
thinking that you're going to always hit a home run with the number one overall pick because everybody loves him in college,
Right.
playing against college kids, Charlton. But now he's got to play against grown men who don't want to be posterized,
Yeah.
who will put a body on him,
Yeah.
who wants to be strong, just like him. So these are the things that change. The dynamics of the game changes when you're not playing against 18, 19, and 20-year-olds
Yeah.
anymore. And now you're up there against 28, 29, and 30-year-olds who want to keep their job and they like the house and neighborhood that they live in.
And they got grown man strength. So tonight, Big C, the most talked about player in the universe, the great Zion Williamson. He's a one and done at Duke. We know that he was a dominant high school player in the AAU circuit as well. And now he's about to have his life changed. But maybe he's already been ready for it because he was traveling around like LeBron James out of, I think it was St. Vincent St. Mary in Akron, Ohio, when he was doing his thing, a couple of moons ago. Give me your feeling on Zion Williams. He's going to be the number one pick, but then there's some other guys that are probably going to be the number 2 and 3 all the way down to 5. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when we think about Zion, it's a done deal.
Yeah.
But that's not the draft in completion. What's going to happen to those guys that go between 2 and 5 in the draft? Will they be the game changers that we are looking at?
Right.
The draft is a crapshoot. As I said, Derrick Rose is the last number one overall pick
Yep.
to be an MVP. And that was 11 years ago. So when you think about it, and you think about guys who have transcended being the number one overall pick, you can go back to Kareem. Kareem was a number one overall pick. He changed a franchise. LeBron James was a number one overall pick. He changed the franchise. Magic Johnson was a number one overall pick. He didn't change the franchise. He just morphed into it,
Morphed into it, yeah.
But when you think about these guys who have been number one overall picks, there's not any championships to go along with them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that people don't understand. Everybody said, okay, we get Zion, our fortunes are changed.
Not
I
necessarily.
mean, when you look at the last 10 number one draft picks, Charlton,
Yeah.
the last 10 number one draft picks, you realize only one of them has a championship ring?
Wow.
That's Kyrie Irving. He was playing with LeBron.
Yeah.
But all the rest of them, you look at Ayton, who was drafted last year, Nick Folks, who knows where he's hiding at nowadays?
Right.
Ben Simmons was just eliminated from the playoffs. Karl Anthony Towns does nothing. Andrew Wiggins also up there in Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns. Anthony Bennett was a number one draft pick, and who knows where he is today? Anthony Davis, you know, he's without a home. You know, John Wall tore his Achilles. Blake Griffin has moved. So when we think about these number one overall draft picks, got to pump your brakes a little bit. It's nice to have all the moxie and media saying you're a game changer.
You know,
we hear that every year coming out of college. He's a game changer. No, the NBA game is not going to change for the next guy up, Charlton.
I love that saying. And Ja Morant out of Murray State, point guard. There's R.J. Barrett out of Duke. Darius Geis Vanderbilt, point guard. DeAndre Hunter out of Virginia. And no matter what happens, we were talking about what makes Steph Curry so appealing in the NBA. They were ready to move him out when Durant was knocking down, 50 points in a playoff game and knocking 40 points like handshakes. And Curry's come back with the dominant win down there in Texas. I hope that Zion's not called the freak by a lot of ignorant mainstream sportscasters out there. I hope if they call him a freak that he calls them and their kids freaks, because that's horrible disrespect to his parents. But for these young men that are coming into fame and fortune, I wish them all well. But there's another group of players that are out there too. There's a P.J. Washington out of Kentucky. He's a power forward. There's a Brandon Clark out of Gonzaga, also a power forward. And also Jared Culver out of Texas Tech, who is a shooting guard. Give me your feeling on some of the players who are not Zion, and why they have to be willing to realize they may not make a team even though they're drafted. Big, see your thoughts.
Well, Charlton, you got to look at those players that you just talked about. Will they end up in a better position than Zion? You got to understand, one of those four teams that has the highest probability of drafting Zion Williams did not make the playoffs. Matter of fact, they haven't made the playoffs in the last 4 or 5 years. So Zion Williams is not going to change the dynamics of the NBA enough to go in and say, we're going to be a playoff team next year. We just saw that with LeBron James, best player in the universe. He went to a team that had a bunch of also-ran misfits on it. They didn't make the playoffs. They haven't made it in 6 years. So I understand the love for Zion and the upside potential for Zion. But until we see it transcend to the NBA game, Charlton, that a rookie walks out. I mean, look at all the hype that was over Ayton last year out of Arizona. What happened to Arizona? They're still in the draft lottery, Charlton. They're still in the draft lottery. So when you look at all those teams that were in the draft lottery last year, Charlton, you know what they have in common?
What's that?
They're back in the draft lottery again this year.
Back there again, And I know it's all about how you get the coaches involved and how you're going to coach these young players. And there's some talk out there, and Big C Sports talks about it as much as anybody. But there's also some talk about the NBA and the NBCA. They aim to develop a level coaching pool like the Rooney Rule in the NFL. So when we hear about guys like Tyronn Lue, who's one of the most qualified unemployed coaches with an infinity stone on his hand, a championship ring, and he can't get a job. And that same thing that we talk about for coaches in the NFL. If the NBA is trying to change the level of coaching opportunities, why is that so under the radar? And I want to get your opinion about how can they do that. Is it just assistant coaches only? There's a lot of guys who weren't coaching in the NBA that got jobs. Look at Cleveland's job. Your thoughts?
Well, Breline got the job in Cleveland because they said they wanted him to change the culture. That they wanted to take, they wanted him to take these underachieving players in Cleveland and come in as a 66-year-old man that has a 40-year separation between the guys that he's going to inherit that are all millionaires, by the way. They're not college players coming in trying to live on a stipend.
No, they're not.
Right? They're not doing that.
They got it figured out already.
More on dinner at night than what these college players have all year semester long to eat on. So when you think about the NBA players, you talked about Tyronn Lue. Jason Kidd can only get a job as an assistant coach. Avery Johnson has won Coach of the Year in the NBA. He can't get a job.
Yeah.
So, there's qualified black coaches out there.
Yeah.
Can they get a job? I mean, look at the coach that was in Toronto,
Casey. Yeah.
You had the best record in your conference history.
Yeah.
In your team's history, and you became unemployed.
Yeah.
Even though they're in the Eastern Conference Final this year. But it's the players that he put in place just didn't have Kawhi Leonard there, Charlton.
Yeah.
He didn't make the managerial moves. So as a black coach having an opportunity in the NBA, and they said with Breline, well, there's somebody we want him to be able to identify with the players. Who can identify with black players more than black coaches, Charlton? Because they were black players at one time.
Yeah.
So they know what these players have gone through and what they deal with in society. So if you want somebody to identify with them, and when I look around at the black coaches in the NBA, there are more of them with winning records than losing records, Charlton.
That's very true. And so as we come to a close, today's show, Big C Sports, you can find us on the iHeartRadio Network, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Comcast Xfinity Network. Now, we're not into telling you what happened and who got picked first. We know the draft already in the way, but we know the Knicks, the Cavaliers, the Suns, the Bulls, the Hawks, the Wizards, and the Pelicans. Remember Scarface loved Pelicans in the movie Scarface way back in the day. Pelicans, come here, Pelicans. So everybody knows that this will change lives for some people. I know that it's an exciting time for all of them, and I wish them nothing but the best. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm looking forward to the excitement in the Bay Area tonight, Charlton, as well as the excitement in Carolina. We have the Eastern Conference semifinal Game 3 in the NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins. We also have Game 1 of the Western Conference Final, Charlton, between the Golden State Warriors and the Portland Trail Blazers.
Oh, yeah.
Trail Blazers' first appearance since 2000. Will they be able to keep the momentum that got them past Denver tonight?
And I think not, but I think you can find out every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.